Fox's Trickery. Wang Xian, a scholar from Dengchang Prefecture, had a rough time with the imperial examinations. He'd taken them multiple times without success. This time, after the exams, he was drowning his anxieties in alcohol back home. Completely inebriated, he stumbled to his bedroom and fell asleep. Suddenly, a voice boomed, "The results are here." Wang Xian, barely conscious, mumbled, "Reward them 10,000 coins." His family, aware of his drunken state, tried to soothe him. "Just go back to sleep," they said. "You already rewarded them." Wang Xian drifted back to sleep. A while later, another voice chimed in, "Congratulations. You passed the imperial examinations." Wang Xian muttered, confused, "But I haven't even been to the capital for the final round. How can I have passed?" The voice replied, "Don't you remember? All 3 stages are done." Overjoyed, Wang Xian jumped up, shouting, "Reward 10,000 coins again." His family used the same tactic to calm him down. The charade continued. Soon, someone else burst in, announcing, "You've been appointed a Hanlin scholar, and your attendants are here to serve you." Wang Xian saw 2 figures kneeling neatly under the bed. Assuming they were his attendants, he ordered food and drinks for them. His family, amused by his drunkenness, went along with it, assuring him they'd taken care of everything. Believing his newfound status, Wang Xian called out for his attendants later, but there was no response. His family, barely containing their laughter, told him to relax and they'd find them. Finally, the attendants arrived. Wang Xian, frustrated by the wait, scolded them for slacking off. One of them, enraged by the drunken insult, retorted, "You scoundrel! We were just having fun with you before, and now you dare curse us." Wang Xian, fueled by anger and confusion, lunged at the attendant, only to knock off his hat and fall himself. His wife rushed in, helped him up, and inquired about his drunken state. Wang Xian, still disoriented, protested about the disrespectful attendant. His wife burst out laughing. "There's only me, your wife," she explained, "who cooks for you and warms your feet at night. Where did these attendants come from to serve a poor scholar like you?" The children joined in the laughter. Reality began to set in for Wang Xian. He realized the entire scene with the attendants had been a fabrication. However, he distinctly remembered the attendant's hat falling off. He searched behind the door and, to his surprise, found a tiny hat the size of a teacup. Everyone was baffled. Wang Xian, with a touch of humor, remarked, "In the past, people were teased by ghosts, but I'm being played with by foxes. The way this man earns money." There was a fellow named Diao who owned no property and made a living by claiming to be a physiognomy expert, the ability to read a person's character and future based on their facial features. In reality, Diao knew nothing about physiognomy. Yet, whenever he went out, he'd return months later with pockets full of money and new clothes. This baffled everyone. One day, a villager from Diao's village came across him in a peculiar situation. Diao, dressed sharply and speaking eloquently, stood amidst a crowd of women surrounding him in a wealthy household. The villager, curious, hid nearby to observe. One of the women asked, "Can you identify the noblewoman among us?" This was a clever trap, as a real physiognomist would be able to pinpoint the woman of higher social standing. The villager felt a wave of embarrassment for Diao, sure he'd be exposed. However, Diao remained calm. He looked skyward, made a cryptic hand gesture, and declared, "This is simple. A person of nobility naturally has clouds hovering above their head." Intrigued, everyone instinctively looked around to see if any woman had clouds above her head. Diao seized the moment and pointed to one woman, proclaiming, "That's the true noblewoman." Astonished, the women believed Diao possessed some divine power. When the villager returned home and shared Diao's clever trick, people realized that despite his questionable profession, Diao possessed a unique talent. They understood that without exceptional resourcefulness, he couldn't have repeatedly deceived so many people and amassed wealth without any real capital.
A peasant woman. The strong peasant woman from the pottery yard in the west of Sichuan City was as brave and robust as a man. She often helped solve problems and mediate disputes in the village. She lived separately from her husband, who resided in Gaoyuan County over 100 miles away from Sichuan. Occasionally, she would visit for a couple of nights and then leave. The peasant woman made a living by selling pottery in Yanshan. When she had extra money, she would give alms to beggars. One evening, while chatting with a neighbor, she suddenly stood up and said, "I have a slight stomachache. I think the baby is about to be born." and then she left. The next morning, the neighbor went to check on her and found her carrying 2 large wine jars on her shoulders, about to enter her house. Following her inside, the neighbor saw a baby wrapped lying on the bed. Astonished, the neighbor asked her, and she revealed that she had walked over 100 miles carrying heavy loads after giving birth. The peasant woman used to be close with a nun in a nearby temple, treating her like a sister. However, she became angry when she heard rumors about the nun's immoral behavior. Determined to confront her, she grabbed a wooden stick and intended to beat her, but others persuaded her not to. One day, she encountered the nun on the road and proceeded to attack her without responding to her inquiries. The nun asked, "What have I done wrong?" But the peasant woman didn't reply. She continued to strike the nun with her fists and rocks until the nun couldn't even scream. Then she stopped and walked away. Mr. X, she remarks, "In the world, those who are called women with the spirit of men are still aware that they are not men, but this peasant woman seems to have forgotten that she is a woman. Her boldness and generosity are no different from the ancient swordsmen who upheld justice and were willing to spend their wealth. Is it possible that her husband is like the husband of the female swordsman Nya Nyang A13, who is only good at polishing mirrors and lacks other abilities?"